There are a lot of things we could upgrade around the house: vacuum, toaster, blender, you name it. And of course, you can, and probably should, upgrade your work monitor every so often. But what if you aren't sure if getting a new one would be a real upgrade? Hey, I'm Nicholas from Ratings.com. Today we're going to review the Dell U2725QE. Part of Dell's ultra-sharp lineup, it comes in at 27 inches with a 4K resolution. Sitting alongside the larger U3225QE and the U4025QW, it's newer than the popular Dell U2723QE, which we've recommended as one of the best work monitors for a while. This new monitor comes with even more features than the older model, including Thunderbolt 4, extra USB-C ports, and a higher refresh rate. Considering it's an update from such a great work monitor, is it worth getting? First off, the design. It has that typical Dell look with a silver body and black bezels. There's nothing that sticks out, which is probably what you want from an office monitor. It comes with an extremely ergonomic stand, making it easy to place in an ideal position. It also has a cutout to help keep your cables organized. One downside is that it wobbles kinda easily, so you'll need a sturdy desk to avoid this. Before we move on to the performance of the display itself, we gotta talk about the inputs. This is pretty much one of its main selling points. You could connect to the monitor with one of 3 video inputs: HDMI, DisplayPort, or USB-C. This USB-C port supports DisplayPort Alt Mode and Thunderbolt 4 with 140 watts of power delivery, so you could charge even the most power-hungry laptops. Besides that, it has 2 video outputs for daisy chaining. These let you connect other monitors directly to this one, or you could use it in a typical daisy chain as long as your computer supports it. For example, with a MacBook, we could get an image on 2 other screens by connecting them directly to the Dell and not in a typical daisy chain. In fact, this monitor works well with Macs and there aren't any compatibility issues. We aren't even done with the inputs yet. There's an Ethernet port, and in total, it has 5 USB-Cs and 5 USB-As, but not all are in the back of the monitor. There are some that pop out from underneath the bottom of it. Besides the physical inputs, it also has a KVM switch that makes it easy to switch between 2 computers and use the same devices on both. This means you could connect the mouse and keyboard to the monitor and use them on different computers. All in all, you won't have to worry about running out of ports to connect devices. And you won't have to unplug and replug cables just to change which laptop you're using with the monitor. Essentially, this monitor serves as a USB hub, so you don't have to pay extra for one. Alright, with that done, let's talk about the picture quality. For starters, this monitor is good even if you want to use it in a bright office space because it gets bright enough to fight most glare. Plus, its matte coating minimizes the amount of reflections coming off the screen. Instead, it spreads light out more, but it has a red tint that you might find distracting if there's a ton of light on the screen, so you shouldn't place it in front of a sunny window. Sadly, it looks worse in a dark room. Even with enhanced IPS black technology and the fact that the contrast ratio is better than most IPS monitors, blacks look kind of gray. It also has some backlight bleed in dark scenes, and the terrible edge-lit local dimming feature turns on when you use HDR, making it look even worse. The local dimming causes a ton of blooming and a loss of details, and there's no way to turn it off in HDR. You might want to avoid using HDR if this bothers you, because at least it doesn't turn on in SDR. But at least in HDR, it displays a wide range of colors in the common DCI-P3 and the wider Rec 2020 color spaces. Colors are accurate for the most part with both, but some are still off, like with white in Rec 2020. Plus, it makes these colors look fairly bright, but struggles with properly displaying dark colors. On the other hand, if you're using it in SDR, you might want to know how accurate it is before any sort of calibration. Adjusting the color space setting to sRGB acts as the sRGB mode, which has good accuracy. It locks colors well to the sRGB color space, has fantastic gamma tracking, and the color temperature is close enough to the target. But it could be better. Doing a full calibration on it fixes any of its white balance and color issues. Alright, while this monitor is clearly meant for productivity, it still has some gaming perks that are useful if you want to work and game on it. This isn't to say that it's good for gaming, but at least it has some gaming features, like the fact that it has a 120Hz refresh rate, which many office monitors don't. This gives it a smoother and more responsive feel compared to 60Hz monitors, which is also nice if you have to quickly scroll through long documents. Just keep in mind that your computer needs a HDMI 2.1 graphics card if you want to get the max refresh rate over HDMI. Speaking of which, this HDMI 2.1 bandwidth allows you to take full advantage of a PS5 or Xbox. It supports any signal up to 4K at 120Hz, including with VRR on either console. This makes it a good choice if you want to kick back and game on your console at the end of your workday, or in the middle of the day. No one is judging you. Just hit those KPIs. But if you prefer hitting those targets in FPS games, it feels responsive thanks to its low input lag at any refresh rate. Unfortunately, the biggest downside when gaming is the fact that fast-moving objects look blurry. It has a pretty slow response time at any refresh rate, so you'll see blur behind fast-moving objects. Sure, it's still fine for gaming, especially if you play slow-paced games, but this is definitely the biggest difference between this monitor and a dedicated gaming monitor. But besides that, how does this monitor compare to others? It has all the basics for office work: a bright screen, sharp text clarity, and an ergonomic stand. But it's not the screen that makes it stand out. It's the perks. The massive USB hub with 10 USB ports and all of its features make it a central point in your work setup. This is a premium monitor, so you get the premium features with it too. But that's the thing, it also comes at a premium price tag. It's pretty expensive for an office monitor, so you might have to consider something else if you don't have such a big budget. A cheaper option is the Asus ProArt P8279 CRV. It's another 4K 27-inch monitor that still has some useful features like DisplayPort alt mode and daisy chaining, but it doesn't have Thunderbolt and the USB hub is a lot smaller. It does have some advantages over the Dell, like better accuracy and more picture modes meant for content creators. However, if you don't mind the high cost of the Dell and find the 27-inch screen too small, you could also check out the Dell U2725QE. It has the same features as the U2725QE, so choosing one over the other really comes down to size preference. While this means that the 32-inch model has lower pixel density, text still looks sharp, and there's more space to view your text. With all that said, is this monitor worth getting? It definitely is, but only if you want all of its extra features. You're basically getting both a monitor and a USB hub in one product, so you're paying for more than just a screen. If your current setup includes an old, small display with an external USB hub that you use to connect your devices, you might benefit from getting an all-in-one option as an upgrade. But if you already have a 4K 27-inch monitor, you might not need to upgrade unless you really want what this monitor offers. That's all for the Dell U2725QE. If you want more details, check out a written review. The link is in the description below. Until next time, I'm Nicholas from Ratings.com, where we help you find the best product for your needs. Ciao. It also has a cutout to help keep your cables.
Keep your cables. It never ceases to impress me how he manages to go through these monitor names, like not the most complicated.
I can say a name like that. I can't say keep your cables ordered.